Welcome back to another episode of With Love Mama, the podcast. I'm Tanika, but before we dive into today's episode, I just want to say a huge thank you for being here. This podcast was created to feel like a safe space where women can exhale, feel seen, feel informed, and feel a little less alone in whatever season they're moving through. So if the conversations that we've had have supported you in any way, one of the most beautiful ways that you can support the show is by subscribing, leaving a rating, or sharing an episode with another woman who needs to hear it too. It genuinely helps our podcast to grow and reach more women navigating preconception, pregnancy, birth, postpartum, and beyond. So let's get into today's episode. Welcome back to another episode of With Love Mama. Today we're following on from a previous episode. It would have been put out, I think, a fortnight ago. So not the last episode, but the episode before that, where we spoke about I'm pregnant, now what, in your first trimester. But today we're going to be speaking about I'm pregnant, now what, second trimester edition. I really just think it's an important little mini series to have, because especially if you don't have much support around you, or you literally just don't know where to start where you are in your pregnancy or what to focus on, and it can get really overwhelming as well when you don't have say a doula or a mum or a friend or someone to sort of lean on in that aspect. So I'm hoping that this can be a safe space for you to know just a couple of things to look into and be aware of. So yeah, we're going to be talking about what's happening in your body, how to prepare for birth without it actually being overwhelming, and how to actually start building confidence instead of fear, because it's a huge thing, right? We're starting that transition through matrescence now, we've already started it. So that's important to know. And also the second trimester for a lot can be almost a honeymoon sort of phase through the pregnancy, but that also isn't everyone's experience. Sometimes the entire pregnancy can actually just feel really rough. So we're just going to move through about this phase of pregnancy. So when we are in our second trimester, our baby is actually growing rapidly, but you have to remember, so are you. Your body isn't just carrying a baby, it's actually building an entirely new organ, which is the placenta, expanding your cardiovascular system and preparing for birth. There's so much going on in your body. It's more than just growing the baby, and just growing and carrying the baby alone is huge, right? The uterus is growing so much. Your blood volume, like I said, is literally increasing dramatically. There's so much going on. Your body's adapting. Your body is actually it knows what to do. You're not thinking about these things. You're not thinking about how your baby is developing its hearing, or how your baby's moving around or doing all these things. You're actually just doing it, and that is huge, right? You, like I said, this phase might not actually feel that great for you. So some women still are actually just so nauseous and don't feel like themselves and are feeling exhausted, and really the emotional load might feel a lot, the mental load. And yeah, I think that's just important to touch on, because every pregnancy is different. But a lot of women too also are feeling lots more energy, feeling really good, almost that feeling they you might, for example, just feel I'm actually don't even feel pregnant apart from my bump is growing kind of thing. And that's great. That's so good. You can also start feeling a bit of pelvic pressure in this phase, round ligament pain, all the things. Highly recommend acupuncture through pregnancy. It is honestly so great. If you are scared of needles, I would recommend otherwise. I'm a Bowen therapist, and I do highly recommend Bowen therapy. If there's a Bowen therapist in your area who knows how to work with pregnancy, it is also just as effective. It's honestly so good. So one of those two modalities, or blending them, or finding whatever works for you. But honestly, they're really great for all of the things I sort of said if your pregnancy isn't slaying. So the second trimester too is when it's it's actually really exciting, because this is when you can start bonding more with the baby, because you are beginning to feel movements or quickening, and yeah, it's just a really exciting time. And so we love that bonding. And this is actually where you can start doing some meditations, or even if you're just going for a walk, just holding your belly, start talking to your baby, really building that connection with your baby, if that's what feels true for you. Even if it doesn't feel true for you, honestly, if you're someone who's feeling a little bit not out of your body, but maybe just not as connected to your baby as you think you should, or whatever, you might have a little bit of disassociation with what's happening, because like I said, it isn't just you growing a baby, you're literally growing yourself into a new version of you. So it can be like a triggering time of like, connecting in. And I just invite you to lean into that a little bit more, especially if you're feeling that way, because it can be really supportive in just like really grounding down into what is happening and the changes that are happening in your body, rather than it feeling like a really big like shift and change and freaking you out, if that makes sense. The second trimester is a really great time that you can prepare for birth. So we're not preparing for birth by buying like lots of baby items, and of course you can do that because we love doing that, but it's actually preparing by understanding your body and starting to like understand what's actually happening, what is going to be happening for birth. So learning about your different options, because there's so many different options. We have such like a large variety of ways, environments, all of the things that we can birth, right? So we don't want to wait till the very end of pregnancy to think about these things, because that's just going to cause unnecessary stress. And it's really good to just start educating yourself, whether it be listening to, for example, my podcast, which if you are, I'm sure you've already started that journey of educating yourself a little bit. There's like great courses online. There's great, usually like birthing classes and all of the things depending where you are, of course. So really just leaning into these different like avenues where you can start to educate yourself and start building that confidence before your third trimester, and confidence in how your body can move through this, what you would like, understanding it, all of the things. I've got so many podcast episodes and lots of stuff over on my Instagram as well, just like talking about all of birth and all the things. So definitely just check all that out. I'm sure it will support you so much. And this is also a great time to start thinking about your birth team. So who would you like there? Who would you like to be supporting you through the biggest transition of your life? Is it your partner, your mum? Potentially you want to find a doula, a friend, your sister. Who do you want there? Everyone you have there, of course, should understand your values, make you feel safe, and feel emotionally like safe around birth themselves. So not be bringing their own things into the birthing space. And that's really important to remember when you are reaching out to who you would like there, is taking that into consideration. Do they have their own fears around birth that might impact your experience? Because we want this to be the most safe and sacred space for you, of course. Thinking about birthing preferences as well. So you've got your birth, like the actual like physiology of birth to think about, the way that you want to birth, thinking about your support team, and then also thinking about your preferences. So this could be like, what environment helps me to relax? Where do I feel safe? How do I respond under pressure? And what actually matters most? So just remember, like, when you have birth preferences, it's not about controlling the outcome of birth. It's just communicating what helps you feel supported, so that the like care team, everyone around you, knows how to support you best, so that your labor and birth can actually unfold in the most seamless and natural way possible, I guess. Another really great thing to focus on in your second trimester is nourishing your body. So focusing lots on oh my gosh, my brain. I'm so sorry. I was literally speaking fine, and then I had a moment. I feel like I've been having so many of these moments, but honestly, it's just how it is. Focusing on hydration, so lots of hydration. And when we're hydrating as well, it's really good to be hydrating with like electrolytes, like natural electrolytes and coconut water, things like that. Not just water, just to be hydrated on that cellular level. We also want to be having lots of protein, iron-rich foods, minerals, and actually eating enough, because it can be really easy to move through your day and just, have a little bit here, a little bit there, and then be like feeling maybe funny at night or whatever. It's just important you're eating enough, because there's so much going on in your body. Remember, I said at the start of the episode that not only are you growing your baby, but there's also the placenta, your blood volume has increased. There's so much going on in your body that, like, aside from actually like the baby. So it's really important you're nourishing yourself properly. As well, it's important you're nourishing yourself properly in preparation for postpartum, in preparation for birth. We want your nutrient stores to be really high and in an optimal space for the healing and for the birth and just for everything. So nourishment is super important. Obviously, if you are like craving a cheeseburger or something, like it's not to shame yourself if that's something that you do, is like snacking a little bit more on things that you wouldn't usually. We all have different things that we feel like or get drawn to when we're pregnant, I guess. So it's just more about finding that balance and ensuring that you are supporting your body and nourishing your body the best that you can. I also recommend in the second trimester, it's really good to see a pelvic floor physio or a pelvic floor osteo, just to have an idea around what's happening internally with your pelvic floor. It can be a little bit daunting, but I honestly think it's what has led myself to having such a great birth for my first and feeling so confident going into my second, because you have that awareness of like the clock of your pelvic bowl. You can do the relaxation and letting go or the strengthening, if necessary, of your pelvic floor, just to ensure that everything can function optimally. And that's really what we would love for, especially if you are wanting a vaginal delivery. So yeah, that's like all a part of the preparation. So I would highly recommend doing that. Also, they can like support you around like your deep core, and it's really great to work alongside someone like that as well, because it supports your healing process postpartum too, so that you can like heal much faster and not have complications postpartum. So highly recommend. I also highly recommend protecting your peace in the way of actually not like, if people around you are starting to just randomly dump like trauma on you from their own birth, or maybe you just have, you're in that algorithm now where everything comes up like about pregnancy, babies, all the things. Literally just clicking in the corner on Instagram, like, don't show me this again, if it's like a traumatic like birth story or something that you don't want to see. And when it's in person, just setting the boundary, cutting people off, honestly, just doing it and just saying, that's not productive for me to hear right now, or I don't need to hear that right now. Like putting people in their place, because I think sometimes people don't actually realize they're doing it, but also, I don't know, it's so weird. It's so weird how like as pregnant women, we become this like magnet for some people to just like trauma dump their birth stuff. I guess it's just because like they see you and it's like relatable for them, I guess. But definitely setting that boundary and limiting that, and curating who you are taking advice from. So like, everyone wants to put in their 2 cents, just like they want to chuck you their birth story and be like, oh, just you wait, or it's going to be painful, or like anything like that. Also really recognizing who you are taking advice from, and knowing that you don't actually have to take advice from anyone if you don't want to, right? And confidence isn't something that you like are naturally going to have in this. It's something that you like get to build. And honestly, even though it's like quite jarring having to like put people in their place or whatever, like it can be really great at like building that resilience for then going into motherhood, because a lot of the time then you're going to be hearing it through motherhood of like, oh, like with how you're feeding your baby, how your baby's sleeping, all the things. It can just sort of like build that mental resilience for you. So yeah, I just thought this would be a great little episode where you can start to recognize like some areas that you could be focusing on in your second trimester, nourishing yourself, recognizing what's going on in your body, starting to prepare for your birth, and also preparing for your postpartum. So like, again, like same sort of thing is like thinking about postpartum, the same you're thinking about birth. So who would you like to cook some meals for you? Maybe you could do like a little, people do those parties and it's like the freezer parties, is that what they're called? Where everyone like sort of, you come over and it's like a little gathering with your close women, and you all cook together and fill your freezer. Doing things like that. And just like knowing that like becoming a mum it starts now. Like you're in that transition now through matrescence, and it is a big adjustment and it is a big thing, and you deserve to ask for that support. And second to that is, if you are wanting to rather fill your mind with like good birth stories, like positive birth stories, know that I have so many over here on the podcast. It could be nice to like start a little journal, like just different things like that, so that you're like beginning to just tune into what feels good for you. But yeah, just know second trimester isn't just about growing your baby, it's about you growing into motherhood. It is time to slow down, even though your energy is maybe feeling like really good and everything. Just know like you're also doing a lot and your body's doing a lot. And that is really all for today's episode. Don't forget to follow my podcast, subscribe, all the things. Share this with a mum who might need to listen to it. Don't forget also to head over to Instagram My handle is Tanika Lace. I share lots of doula content over there about all of the things, and if you are interested in working together, just reach out. But other than that, I'll be back in your ears next week. Bye.